Man can indeed be a contemptible being, but he's usually at his worst when he believes he's at his best. Good evening, everybody. It's Hell's Unicorn here again, back after a fairly long hiatus. I apologize for that, but I've basically been out of the loop regarding the news because, quite frankly, I've been in a elongated state of apathy. And now I'm coming back to you not so much because I want to, but because I feel compelled to, because the particular turn of events that just transpired today has made this unavoidable. Everybody's been talking to me about it, and so I need to vent. And so what will follow is the usual random stream of consciousness style of speech that I usually give on this channel. As many of you are well aware, there was recently another school shooting, this time up in Connecticut, in a place called Newtown, which I'm not familiar with. There are new towns in just about every state, just so that all of you know. I actually live not too far from a new town myself. The thing that amazes me about all of these mass shootings, whether they occur at schools or at movie theaters or at some sort of political event, is that the usual predictable nonsense always follows. And it forces those of us who take the red pill, for lack of a better analogy, to do some hard thinking and to rediscover why it is that we don't really want to go back to that blue pill mentality where we simply believe everything that everybody else tells us, even and especially the media. And the media has definitely been ablaze over this whole thing. I'm only going to be linking to one particular site, and this is going to be the Atlantic Wire, and I'm doing this primarily because they have sourced multiple other newspapers, and we have got loads and loads and loads of conflicting reports. But as best as I can tell, the person in question who basically perpetuated this act was a mentally challenged individual, from what it says here, suffering from a combination of Asperger's syndrome and also a personality disorder that they say is under the obsessive compulsive disorder spectrum of some sort. I am going to make a bold prediction right now, and that is that this particular young man, who I believe was in his 20s, was heavily medicated on something psychotropic and probably had a very extreme series of side effects that basically caused him to blow his top. One will also note that among the victims, the adult victims in particular, were family members of this particular individual. So I will therefore make another bold assertion, and that is that these children who were unfortunately caught in this crossfire were probably collateral damage and were not the chief targets. I would argue that the death of the family members was most likely a crime of intent, while the deaths of these kindergarten children was most likely a crime of passion. And it should also be noted that the mother of the person that is believed to be the perpetrator of this event was teaching the class that was the primary recipient of all of this violence. The thing that you need to understand about the aftermath of mass shootings is that the pertinent and most important of issues is never, ever discussed. Never. And we have the media to thank for that. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people believe that the media lies about everything intentionally to basically foster a certain worldview in the public in general. While I don't necessarily subscribe to a methodical grand conspiracy, I do believe in the notion that ideas grow legs and they tend to run around, and a combination of journalistic laziness and intellectual laziness in the masses helps to perpetuate this nonsense. Like with pruning a tree, it's not what you cut, it's what you don't cut that ultimately makes the difference. And with news reporting, it's not what you talk about, it's what you don't talk about that usually makes all the difference. People are talking about the fact that this particular individual who did this was mentally disturbed. However, not a word is uttered about what potential contribution the pharmaceutical goods that this person was ingesting might have been involved in this particular event happening. But we have plenty of time to talk about the so-called evil 223 caliber rifle that was being used. We can go through all the detail and we can show an elaborate picture of it and say, look at this sci-fi weapon. This is what made this possible. As if there was no other method available to this crazy person. Now, likewise, there is a video up of Obama tearing up in response to this event, which I have provided a link to. At this particular point in time, I don't really care what Obama does with regards to reacting to these events, because it's usually a bunch of touchy-feely nonsense that never really gets to the hub of the matter. The comments on this video, which I am linked to, are another matter entirely, and I invite you to go over, to read, and to react out loud if you so choose. We have such glorious comments as, Obama is a good man, God bless him. Disagree with Obama, whatever you like, he's still a good man. You know, the president is automatically a good man whenever over a dozen children get killed. Explain that to me. And also, it has to be a particular kind of children. It has to be school children within the borders of the United States. If we ever blow up a school or a wedding or something else like that over in Pakistan or southern Afghanistan, and there are children involved in the death, well, that's an entire matter altogether, and we can't really attribute that stuff to Obama, even though Obama is directly involved in the decision-making of choosing these targets. He has to okay everything. This school shooting was something that he had absolutely nothing to do to, and so as a consequence, he is a great man. Explain this to me, because I'm not getting it. Now, there are a few intelligent comments on here, and I am actually going to quote one of them. This is from Zero the Best Man. This was a nice moment, but the irony is that President Obama himself has the blood of innocent children on his hands via drone strikes. They lived near the terrorists, though, so I guess they aren't as important. Thank you for pointing this out, the best man. You are absolutely right. Circumstances, it seems, matters more than anything else. It doesn't matter whether or not children die. What matters is how they die and where they die. But again, I come back to the problem of mankind when they think they're doing good, because evidently what America defines as doing good in this day and age is sobbing over the deaths of people that you never knew and will never likely meet or be around the area of, so to speak. For lack of a better term, basically, we cry over people that we don't know but that we feel connected to because the idiot box in our living room tells us to. And there's a reason why they call it the idiot box, is because that's what it creates. In closing, I'm just going to say the following regarding this event. Those of you who are bringing up the Brady Bill once again or whining about gun control, shut the fuck up. Stop taking advantage of a tragedy in order to perpetuate your own ignorant, idiotic, contradictory political viewpoints. I don't want to hear about it. Anybody talks gun control except for saying that people that talk about it are stupid is getting blocked from my channel. I'm not in the mood. I've had this conversation hundreds of times. There's nothing logical about the debate itself because the debate is not germane to what's going on. If we wanted to really talk about how to prevent mass shootings, we should probably be talking about how we can outlaw death. Because mankind, no matter what weapon he has available to him, even if it's his own bare hands, always seems to find a way to kill himself and others around him. It's a fact of reality. Passing a couple of idiotic laws is not going to accomplish anything other than making a lot of stupid white liberal people feel a little bit safer. And in truth, they're not actually safer, as evident from where this shooting took place. Second, I want all of the fawning over this individual who sadly is still our president. to not take place on this channel either. I don't want to hear about it. The man does nothing except for tears up over people that he doesn't know, and all of a sudden he's a great man. He's presided over the deaths of thousands, as has been the case with numerous other presidents, but this guy gets a pass. We're not going to give his predecessor a pass for starting wars, but we're going to give this one a pass, either because of the color of his skin or the nature of his ideology. Pick your poison. The fact of the matter is, it's hypocritical. This government that we currently have running this country has been responsible for 100-fold the number of deaths that occurred at this school in the past year. So that will pretty much do it for this rant. Until next time, with prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.